Hussein Banu, Minister for Women. President Karzai used to have 3 women in his cabinet. Now there's just 1. Afghan law states that 16 is the minimum age that a girl can marry. Why don't you prosecute parents and husbands who marry off young girls? You've got to prosecute.
We cannot change old traditions quickly and easily. It needs years of cultural work to change people's minds. Until now, there hasn't been any punishment for these people. Fortunately, a law banning violence against women was passed recently by the cabinet. After this, then those responsible for this crime will be punished.
But will they? Afghanistan already has laws to protect women. Yet even now, 8 out of 10 still suffer from domestic violence. For some, there is only one way out. Zainab, 18 years old, mother of 2. She took a drastic step to escape her husband.
It was my destiny.
In the city of Herat, there's a special burns unit set up by a French charity to treat women who set fire to themselves. Zainab's been here for 6 weeks, looked after by her mother.
I said to him, "Why do you beat me? For God's sake, don't hit me." My head was spinning. I didn't go out, just stayed home all day.
She was given away in my absence by her brothers as a second wife. She was happy for 2 years, but then her husband became really cruel and beat her day and night.
Finally, Zainab poured oil over herself in front of her husband. She threatened to set herself alight if he didn't stop beating her.
I was going to wash the oil off and not do it. I'm not the kind of person to commit suicide. But then he jeered and said, "Look, she's used 20 Afghanis worth of oil and didn't even burn herself." So I took the matches and set fire to myself.
Most women who do this die before they reach hospital. But despite the fall of the Taliban, this one unit treats about 100 such cases a year.
Sometimes we have 4 cases in one day. In one day? In one day, yeah. There we have 4 cases in one day.
Those who make it to Dr. Jalali have little chance of survival.
It's 90%, it's 100%.
100%.
She died, and other one is Rahima, she's alive. They want to show like a warning for the husband. It's a warning for 90% of the women.
So it's like a cry for help?
Yeah, it's, yeah.
14-year-old Shahnaz set fire to herself when her father tried to force her to marry an old man. Her burns are so bad, her mother's been told there is little chance she'll survive. Zainab is having her 6th skin graft operation. She will recover, though badly scarred.
We can cover all of the part that they need skin graft today. It's the last plan of operation for her.
Zainab's children have only been brought to the hospital once. Her husband hasn't been to see her. But divorce hasn't got any easier in Afghanistan since the West intervened. What is the alternative if you don't go back to your husband?
Don't go back to him. I have to because I have to look after my kids. I'm hoping not to survive. If I do get better, then let's see what happens.
Karzai's government adopted a constitution 5 years ago which promised equality and human rights for women. It's meaningless. They don't have equality. They don't have human rights. What have you done?
In response, I should say that the rights written into the Constitution cannot be implanted in our society in 5 years. This hasn't happened in any country, not just ours. And Afghanistan is a poor, developing country. It may take 20 years to implement the law.
Afghanistan is a lawless state. Karzai's government hasn't been able to enforce its own laws to protect women, and it's failed to protect them against a resurgent Taliban. In some areas of the country, however, I found ordinary women determined to defy the extremists and drag Afghanistan into the 21st century. Mariam, businesswoman and TV star. She said no to the Taliban.
We can't just rely on President Karzai. Karzai do this or Karzai do that. We have to do something ourselves.
Last year, Mariam applied to be a contestant on the Afghan version of Dragon's Den. It was a risky move for a woman from a small village to take such a high profile.
I had to ask my family if they would allow me to go on TV. At first they said, a woman shouldn't go there. It isn't good for our reputation. Then I said, I will go with a hijab and cover my face.
A refugee during the Taliban years, Mariam started a jam-making business when she came home. She employed poor women in her village.
مریم جامی از ولایت هرات با ارائه طرح تجاری پروسس میوه و سبزیجات در برنامه رقابتی فکر و تلاش اشتراک نمود.
But the publicity brought trouble.
So Mariam, I understand you got a letter. Yeah, can I see it?
The local Taliban were businesslike too. Their threats even came on headed paper.
So this is from the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan Mujahideen. And so when you received this, you had no doubt what the message was.
I told the man who brought the letter, I didn't do anything against Islam. I'm not listening to you, I said. Who are you to decide for me?
Mariam had to leave the village with her husband and 5 children. Her father and brothers were captured and tortured. They too fled to the city.
I was under enormous pressure mentally because of what was going on, but nothing would stop me. All I thought about was my future, going on and winning the competition.
Mariam came second, winning a cheque for $10,000, a fortune in Afghanistan. A year on, she started up in business again, employing women refugees in Herat. With her Dragon's Den winnings, she's bought land on an industrial estate in the city. She's planning to build a big jam factory here and give jobs to even more women.
President Karzai will never come and take my hand and bring me out of my house. Every woman who wants to should come out of the home to work and change the minds of old-fashioned men.
Afghan women will only come out of the home if they and their daughters are educated. But 8 years after the fall of the Taliban, 80% of women are still illiterate.